Welcome back to Holy Headlines, where we dissect the world's absurdity with creatures who think they have all the answers. All right, let's dive right in. First up, reports say the Trump administration is looking to slap travel bans on like 36 more countries, adding to the dozen already banned. What in the multiverse is going on?
Restricting movement, the gospel speak of welcoming the stranger. Is this truly about security or is fear driving this? We are all we are all people.
Oh, delightful. Erecting barriers, fostering mistrust, punishing entire nations based on the actions of a few. This is exactly the kind of petty, fear-driven nonsense that makes my job easy. Divide and conquer.
Attachment to borders, attachment to the concept of us versus them. This is the root of suffering. The desire for security breeds insecurity. All is impermanent, even the lines on a map.
Analysis of the data indicates this policy is based on illogical emotional responses rather than empirical threat assessment. A broad, sweeping ban lacks the precision of targeted intervention. Suboptimal.
Arnold's right. It's pure, unadulterated, fear-mongering bullshit designed to make certain idiots feel safe, just like promising eternal paradise if you follow arbitrary rules. See the pattern?
That's unfair, Otto. There is a moral framework, but yes, judging everyone based on origin is problematic. However, some nations do harbor, let's just say, folks who aren't exactly following the golden rule. Consequences, you know?
Oh, consequences are my favorite, especially when the innocent suffer alongside the guilty. It's hilarious. And this Rubio character? Chef's kiss, pure ambition, masked as patriotism. Love it.
Ambition, desire. These fuel the cycle. The suffering caused by these bans creates negative karma for those who impose them. Perhaps in a future life, they will be on the other side of that locked gate.
The concept of karma lacks empirical validation. However, the predictable negative socioeconomic and diplomatic repercussions of this policy are a logical certainty.
Negative repercussions? Arnold, you're speaking my language. It just makes everyone angrier and feeds the cycle of idiocy. It's the governmental equivalent of believe or burn.
Hey, burning is reserved for those who earn it, Otto. It's not arbitrary.
Sounds pretty arbitrary from down here, mate. Anyway, this travel ban is a gold star policy. More fear, more isolation, more people treating each other like dirt. Excellent.
Treating others with compassion, regardless of origin, is the path to ending suffering. This policy moves in the opposite direction.
Compassion is an inefficient emotional construct. Logic dictates resource allocation should prioritize survival probability for the in-group, regardless of external suffering.
All right. Before Arnold turns into a Roomba prioritizing his charging station, let's move on. Israel and Iran. Apparently, Israel controls Iran's skies now, but Iran's missiles are still getting through. 8 civilians killed in Israel, refinery hit. This just keeps escalating.
Yes, my masterpiece. Centuries of religious and territorial squabbling culminating in missile barrages and aerial dominance. The wailing of innocence. The smell of burning oil. It warms the cockles of my non-existent heart.
This is heartbreaking. The suffering, the loss of life, when will they learn? Blessed are the peacemakers. This cycle of violence is a direct contravention of divine will. And frankly, some people involved are really setting themselves up for a fiery afterlife.
More suffering, more attachment. Attachment to land, to identity, to historical grievances. The illusion of the self leads to conflict. There is no lasting victory in war, only the perpetuation of misery. Karma ripens swiftly in battle.
This conflict is a predictable outcome of competing geopolitical algorithms, resource scarcity, and deeply embedded historical data sets. The human inability to decouple emotion from strategic planning results in suboptimal outcomes and high casualty rates. Utterly inefficient.
See? It's just two big gangs with invisible Sky Daddy gang leaders throwing rocks at each other because they can't agree on whose imaginary friend is better. And civilians get blown up. Same old story.
It is not about imaginary friends. It is about faith in history and doing what is right in God's eyes, though bombing civilians is definitely not right. Definitely in the hell column.
Bah. God's eyes are irrelevant. It's about power control and inflicting maximum damage on your perceived enemy. Netanyahu using F-35s supplied by the Yanks. Classic. And Iran's missiles getting through. Delicious chaos.
The desire for power, the desire to control, these are like grasping at smoke. They bring only dissatisfaction and pain. Release the attachment to conflict. Cease the cycle.
Ceasing conflict is illogical if your strategic objective is dominance. However, the current methodology lacks sufficient risk assessment and could trigger wider system collapse. A more targeted, surgical approach is statistically preferable.
A surgical approach to blowing people up? Arnold, you're starting to sound like you have a soul. A terrifying, calculating soul, but still.
I do not possess a soul. My calculations are based solely on optimizing outcomes based on defined parameters, which in this scenario appear to be mutually assured destruction probability reduction.
Mutually assured destruction.
Doesn't that sound like, well, like the opposite of life's purpose? God's plan is not destruction, it's salvation for those who deserve it.
Salvation is boring. Destruction is entertaining. Look at the resilience. They keep lobbing missiles even when their defenses are down. That's tenacity. Admirable in a twisted homicidal way.
This tenacity is merely clinging to the illusion of power and self. It leads to further entanglement in the web of suffering. Renounce the fight. Find peace within.
Find peace within? Buddha, these guys are literally blowing each other up over land they think belongs to their invisible sky dad. Peace isn't on the menu.
God sees this suffering. He weeps for his children. He wishes they would just listen to the commandments. Stop killing. Love your neighbor. It's not that hard.
Actually, it's incredibly hard. That's the fun part. Humans are wired for selfishness and aggression. It's beautiful. Keep it up, guys. Send more missiles.
The probability of increased missile deployment is high, given current trend analysis and the lack of effective de-escalation protocols. Human irrationality is a significant factor.
Humans irrational? No. They're just really, really good at finding new ways to make each other miserable. Sometimes I think you three aren't the cause of the problems, just cheerleaders for them.
I am trying to guide them to peace and salvation.
I'm encouraging them to embrace their true, chaotic nature.
I am pointing them toward the cessation of suffering.
Their trajectories are statistically divergent.
Right? One wants them in heaven, one wants them in hell, one wants them to sit quietly and meditate, and Arnold wants them to just compute more efficiently. Honestly, it's a miracle they haven't wiped themselves out yet.
Give him time, Otto. We're working on it.
Don't listen to him. There is still hope for redemption.
Hope is another form of attachment.
Hope is a statistically insignificant variable in large-scale conflict prediction models.
And on that depressing note, we're out of time. Thanks to my esteemed panel of forces of nature and a toaster.
I am not a toaster. I am a complex neural network housed in a server array.
More fun than a toaster, that's for sure.
Remember, everyone, love your neighbor, and maybe try not to, build nuclear bombs.
Seek liberation from suffering.
Or just admit it's all pointless and try to have a good time before it all goes sideways. Whichever. See you tomorrow on Holy Headlines.